Are you preparing for foot or ankle surgery, or have you just had it? If you have and you're wondering what your recovery is going to be like, then this video is for you. Hi, my name's Renee Laurie. Welcome to my channel, Retired and Inspired. About 3 months ago, I had bunion surgery and partial foot reconstruction, which resulted in a non-weight bearing recovery situation. And today I'd like to share with you 4 different areas that really helped me in my recovery. And just as a side note, I'm not a medical professional or am I offering medical advice. I just want to share with you the things that really worked for me, and hopefully it will dispel some of the mystery and some tips that will help you in your recovery as well. So we'll be looking at the physical aspect of recovery, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And there'll be time codes listed below. So if you just want to skip to the area that you're most interested in, then feel free to do that. And as a side note, earlier I recorded a video on the tools and resources I needed. And it's right here. I'll put a link below in the description if you're interested in any of the tools or the resources or the equipment that I used to help me in my recovery that I'll probably mention in this video too. The physical aspect of recovery. So I'm going to go through a timeline to give you an idea of what you might be able to expect yourself. I had my foot surgery on February 7th, 2025, and I came home with a surgical cast. I went back to the doctor 2 weeks later, and he removed that, and then I got a fiberglass cast, which I wore for another, I believe, 8 weeks before I went back to him, and he removed that, and then I got a walking boot air cast. And all the way through that, so that's probably about 10 to, yeah, around 10 weeks, there's still no weight bearing at all for in any of that time. And so I got the air cast, and then about a week later, I was able to do some exercises. And all the exercises he gave me and any progress I was making, he said, make sure that you're not sore and that you're not swollen. And when I was sore and swollen, after my cast was off, then I would keep my foot elevated, which I did anyway, even with my casts on. And I had a cold compression pack I would put on my foot that helped. Once I felt comfortable enough, I started doing the exercises he gave me, which really amounted to sitting on the side of the bed and with my air cast on, just putting like 25 pounds of, weight while I was sitting down on my foot. So 3 days of 25 pounds, 3 days of 50 pounds, and 3 days of 75 pounds. And that was it. But if I had any soreness or discomfort, then I would stop and let my foot rest. So that took me about a week and a half to 2 weeks to get through that. And then once I got through that, he said I could, and I'm still using my crutches during all this time. While I was on my crutches with my walking boot on, I was able to use 25% on my foot that I had surgery. So I'd walk and just put 25% of my weight on there. And it was the same thing for 3 days. And then if I was sore or got swollen, I would elevate and rest. And then after 3 days of doing that, I would go to 75%. And then after 3 days of doing that, as long as there wasn't any pain or swollen, I would go to 100%. So I'm still using my crutches though, because it wasn't like I could run around the house. I had them handy, or I used my knee scooter. So eventually I could walk on my walking boot without any crutches. And that took about 2 weeks to get through that cycle, because I always stopped if I was in any kind of pain. And then from that point on, he said I could get into shoes once I had zero pain and zero swelling. That took about another 2 weeks of walking around in my walking boot inside the house. If I was outside, I'd use my knee scooter or crutches, because we live on a hill and I don't have a level thing, and there was nothing to hold on to. So either way, I would have done that. I really didn't go out in public. I only went to the doctors. I really didn't have a desire to, because I felt so wobbly, especially after resting and being in bed so long. My muscles were not, as strong as they needed to be. So it took a couple weeks for my foot to feel good enough to put into some shoes. And I have some zero gravity. They're actually zero shoes. hiking boots. They're light hiking boots, and that's what I wore in the house. It gave my foot and my ankle support, and I didn't tie them up very tightly. But once I got into those, it was awesome. No more walking boot. And you have a walking boot, then you have something called an elevate, because you need to bring your other foot, your other shoe, up a little bit so that you're not, you know, it's not like this is low and this is high. One foot's low, one foot's high. I could get rid of those. I walked around the house. I was still walking gingerly. After, like I said, about 2 weeks, I was able to walk more easily, and then I could begin to drive. So it took about 3 months from my surgery to the point where I was able to drive. And I probably could have driven a week earlier because my foot was in the shoe. That's what my doctor told me. But it was still tender across the ball. And I know I was my right foot, and I didn't feel comfortable putting the pressure on the gas and on the pedal. So I just decided I'm going to wait. So it was actually just last week I started driving. So I'm so excited, driving, going places by myself. And yesterday, for the first time, I went grocery shopping in 3 months. And I'd gone to the gym this week a couple times, and it's been really, really nice. But my foot, even yesterday after going grocery shopping, it was really sore and really tired. So I just rested. And that's another day. I'm having a restful day today. So this is supposed to be a non-filming day. So I look like a fright, but I really wanted to get this out to you. I know there's a couple of you that watched my other video that had a lot of questions, and I thought it might be easier just to go through the whole thing and put in some videos in between of how I managed, like going to the bathroom and taking a shower and, getting around, and how did you get up without any help. So, okay, so that's my timeline. And now I want to go back to, let's pretend like we're back at the beginning, right after my surgery, and we'll talk about the things that really matter. Where did I stay? I have a multi-level house. I'm going to put a video in here where you can see. I thought I'd show you the layout of the house. Our house is built on a hill, so the front door, you have to go up these steps, is there, but you can walk right into our basement from the driveway through here, which is why I stayed in the basement. So I just had one small step up, and that sofa, the cushions come off, and you can pull out a mat. It's a sofa bed, so you can pull out the bed part. And I'll just do a quick scan. I use that pillow, right, that bed pillow, to lean up against. And I set up all my medicine, water, medicine, and everything right here. Then I had a bag for recycle, some trash. I slept on this side of the bed because our bathroom down here is right there. So it was really easy, just, a few steps. Shouldn't say easy, a few steps to get in here. I'm going to show you a quick look in here too. So I have a shower stall, and my shower chair is not here anymore because my sister-in-law needed it, but it was right there. I'll show you a picture of it. And here's the, I still have the toilet assist on because it's just easier for me to get dressed. I put my clothes on the dryer, and then I can just stay seated and get dressed. I'm not so secure on standing on one foot. I'm going to set up stations, the recovery stations, so you can see them, but I wanted you to see the layout. And if you like the paintings, my husband's an artist. Of course, I think he does beautiful work. So 3 weeks, actually 4 weeks I was down here. Well, I stayed down here longer than that, but I didn't leave it for 3 or 4 weeks. And the biggest question, it's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but it's necessary, is going to the bathroom. If you can't put any weight on your foot, how do you go to the bathroom? So the first week after my surgery, my husband actually had to come down and help me get up. because I couldn't get up on my own strength. So I would put my arms around his neck like this, and then he would just pull me up, and I would grab my crutches. And then from that point, I could make it, crutch into the bathroom. And I have a toilet assist, which I'll put a picture of on here. I was able to, I could barely lower myself. He actually lowered me down in the first week. And then after I was done, he actually did the same thing. I put my arms up around his neck and he lifted me up. Eventually, and I'll show you in the video, I was able to, get up, get in there, and get up again and get back without putting any pressure on my foot. Questions on how I got up from the toilet when I couldn't put any weight on my surgical foot. So thank goodness for the toilet assist. Oops, and this happened all the time. Crutches falling. Keep your crutches handy. Got one here and one here. I would use the armrests, my non-surgical foot, push up, and kind of hang on. It was really, really shaky. Grab the crutch to support the side that had the surgery, and then I would grab the other one. You just have to take your time. You can't be in any rush because safety is number one. All right, I hope this helps. But it takes a long time. Everything you do is going to take a long time. But that's okay, because that's what you have. You have a lot of time. So it was a huge victory for me to be able to go to the bathroom by myself and not have to call him on my cell phone in the middle of the night and ask him to come all the way down to the basement to help me go to the bathroom. And something else that helped is I drink a lot of fluids anyway. I drink a lot of water, but I also drink water with electrolytes. And pretty much the whole time I was recovering, if I had water, 90% of the time I had electrolytes in it. And I use LMNT, and it was great. And the reason why I use it is because it hydrates you at the cellular level. Whereas if you're just drinking a lot of water, you have to go to the bathroom a lot. And that's the last thing you want to do when you're in pain and you can't get up. So, and it also helps you heal because the hydration is getting into your body at the cellular level. The other thing is, how did I get dressed? Well, even today, I still have my toilet assist. I bring my clothes down to the bathroom. That's my bathroom anyway. I usually get ready and get dressed down there. I sit on the toilet and I get dressed from there. I'm not ready to stand up, put your pants on standing up, like, because you can stand on one foot or the other. I still don't feel strong enough to do that yet. So I would just sit there and get dressed from there. And then the toughest thing was probably standing up and using your crutches, but you figure out a way to do it. You kind of lean on one crutch and pull up your pants and lean on the other crutch and pull up your pants. You can put everything on your top while you're sitting there on the toilet. So you'll figure it out. You have to be patient because everything you do takes much longer than you can ever imagine. Okay, and how did I take care of my personal needs? So here's the bathroom setup I used before I could, get up too much. I have my personal wipes, deodorant, my lip stuff, and my brush and a crutch, always with an arm's reach of sitting on the toilet. Of course, my crutch. I would sit here and I could grab my toothpaste, my toothbrush, brush my teeth, and wash up all in the sink. I was lucky because everything was so close. Always keeping my crutches right by me, which would help me get up. Hope this helps. I could actually sit there and get almost completely ready doing that. And then eventually I could stand up and you could stand there with my foot up on my crutches and wash my face and brush my teeth and all that stuff. But it took me probably 3 weeks before I felt like I could do that because I just felt so wobbly and weak. And I also got a shower chair. That was awesome. And I have a shower stall, little walk-in shower stall. So I would just, turn the water on and back into it and kept my leg out because I had the cast, and I had a cast cover that you use when you're taking a shower. And then, you got done, and I would always sit there and have to dry off my, well, first of all, when it was in a cast, I didn't have to worry about it, but I could dry myself off, get up and get ready. But when it was I didn't have a cast on, then I made sure, and I had to have the walking boot because I couldn't put any pressure on my foot at all, and I couldn't put any pressure on my foot without shoes or anything on or without the cast. I would just dry it off really carefully and had my walking boot right there, put the walking boot on, then get up, finish drying off, and get dressed. It's quite a process, but you figure it out. You definitely add a lot of time in for getting ready and you figure it out. The other thing is, I was concerned about the blood flow to my foot. So as soon as I could, I would wiggle my toes. Sometimes my foot was so swollen I could barely do it, but I was constantly, when I was laying there and I had my foot elevated, I was always wiggling my toes throughout the day, trying to stretch my foot and wiggle my toes. And I think that really helped with increasing the blood flow and with the healing. And listen to your body. If you're tired, rest. If you feel swollen, rest. Whatever your body tells you to do, listen to your body and listen to the doctor. Follow those things and you'll be fine. Oh, the other thing is, once my cast came off and I was my scars healed enough, well, there were still stitches. I put castor oil on my foot probably a couple times a day, and that really helped with the healing, and it helped with the swelling and the tightness of the skin, and that was really helpful. All right, number 2, your mental recovery. So being isolated for long periods of time is not easy and it's not fun. Um, I was, of course, in the basement. It's just my husband and I here. Our kids are grown and we're both retired, thankfully. I don't know if I could have done this if we weren't both retired. But especially with meds, you mentally, it's hard to think straight. Your head gets cloudy, and sometimes you think really wild and crazy thoughts or have really crazy dreams. So a few of the things I did that really helped was, one, I had the mindset of, this is an opportunity. And I just set my mind, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to rest. It's an opportunity for me to reset. It's an opportunity for me to grow. It's an opportunity for me to kind of throw off all those things you feel stressed about and you feel like are pulling at you, and just you can't do it. So you just let it go and focus on healing. And I looked for ways that I could grow. I looked for ways that I focused on positive things. I focused on where I was heading. I tried not to look back behind me and think about, because you have plenty of time to think, regrets or things, anything that could pull you back. I tried not to do that. I just kept looking forward. And anytime I made progress, I was like, yeah, that's great. I was able to get up and go to the bathroom by myself. That was great. I also had a variety of books I had bought and brought down into the basement with me and getting ready. Magazines, I had newspapers, playing games. I had a game called Bananagrams. I'm a retired special education teacher and reading specialist. And I played Bananagrams with my students, and you can play it by yourself. So I brought Bananagrams with me, something light, because your mind is still really tired. So I wanted to do some things that were light and easy and fun. I also got an adult coloring book, and I was able to do some coloring, and that was awesome too. Of course, I had my Chromebook, and I watched a lot of YouTube, a lot of YouTube. And especially in the beginning, I didn't feel like any output. I was too tired to read, but just being able to watch whatever I wanted to watch for as long as I wanted to watch, and that worked out really well too. And actually, it was during this time that I created my YouTube channel, and I'll put a link to it over here. It's documenting my YouTube journey. I started it on January 21st, knowing I'd have surgery. And then, of course, I didn't do anything for the month of February. Then I started posting again, I think in the beginning of March. So that was a lifesaver because I was doing a lot of research on that. I was exploring, practicing things, figuring out how to do, set up a channel, how to do a video, how to post a video, and all those things. So that was really helpful mentally, keeping my mind busy. The other thing, number 3, emotional. They're linked, aren't they? Mental and emotional. It's really easy to become frustrated. Cannot tell you how many times I dropped my crutches. And, it's the last thing you would do. You dropped your crutch. You have to, it's one more obstacle. There are so many obstacles, I felt like, for just daily life. And I'm 67, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this the way my life's going to be from now on? Am I going to be limited? And it made me feel really determined that I'm going to be as mobile as I can for as long as I can. So don't fall into those traps. Don't go out down those rabbit holes. Just say, I'm going to be better than I was before. And then you just keep moving forward. Replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. I also felt useless. My husband had to do everything, the shopping, feeding me, and it was wintertime and I live in New England. So we had snow, we had ice. And I usually go out and help him shovel and take care of that. I couldn't do anything. And I could tell it was wearing on him. He was tired. And I'm just very grateful for what a great job he did taking care of me, because I wouldn't have recovered as quickly. But it does. You feel like, what can I do? But your body is healing, and that's exactly what you need to do. And it's being useful, and you're being useful and taking care of yourself so that others don't have to take care of you now or down the road. You can become really discouraged too, because sometimes days seem so long and you're like, am I ever going to get better? Especially, I think, from right after surgery until like the middle part, until, and until you feel like you can start doing a few things on your own. It feels like it takes a long time, and it kind of does, but your body's healing at a really deep level. So I kept telling myself that, I'm like, hey, my body's doing what it needs to do. It needs all this energy. So having those thoughts and feelings don't help you get better. So you just let them go and you stay focused on something positive. You can memorize a scripture, you can memorize a saying, you can just change your mindset and look forward. Oh, speaking of, yes. So that's the other thing, is every morning I would always start my day off with something positive. I do that. I did it before, especially during, and I do it now. And it's kind of linked, that emotional is linked back to the mental. And this, starting your morning with something positive, is actually a biological thing. Your body, when you wake up, your brain, I think it needs the cortisol, and it usually has some to wake you up. It has like this kind of negative downer going on in your brain. So you need to give it something positive to start your day. And for me, moving on to the fourth, is the spiritual. I believe in God and Jesus. So I would read my Bible, but in the beginning, I didn't even feel like doing that, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like reading anything. But there's a channel on YouTube called Grace Oasis. And every morning, when I first wake up, I pull up one of their videos, and they give they talk about some, spiritual aspect, and then they have a prayer, and it's very nurturing and nourishing and deep, and it's not real religious, it's just real. So that was a great way to start my day. And then there's an app, and it's also on YouTube, called Bible Project, where they have explainer videos and they have podcasts, and they talk about the Bible in a way that I have never heard before. And it's not non-denominational, it's churchy, it's just straight from the Bible. And I love that. So I would listen to one of those, or watch an explainer video. They're very entertaining too, and well researched. And then there is a woman named Lynn Toussaint, and she's an older woman who shares a scripture every day and her thoughts about it, and then prays. So I might do that. Always do the prayer thing, but I'll pick one of those other, either Bible Project or Lynn. And then once I was feeling strong enough to read, I'd read my Bible a little bit every day. There was a spiritual book or two, and I'll show you what they are up here. It really helped, just having something guide me, because I couldn't come up with something on my own. And, you could use like mindfulness cards. You can use, if you're not, you know, in the Christian faith, there's a lot of other things you could do. You could use the Stoic philosophers. You could use Taoist. You could use Buddhist. It doesn't matter. You could not even be spiritual at all, but have something positive to start your day. Have that mindset, and have that to fall back on too when you're struggling. That was a lifesaver to me. It really, really helped. So it helped pull me through those dark times when I was feeling really negative, down on myself, discouraged, things like that. They also have some mindfulness apps, and there are plenty of apps on your phone that can help you with starting your day off with a positive way. Or you could do some meditation some focused meditation when you first wake up in the morning. But I want to close with this: is you'll find your way. You'll know what works for you if you just slow down and listen to your body, and listen to your mind and your heart and your soul, and it will guide you and direct you in the right way. And your body has an amazing capability of healing. That's one thing I learned. It's just incredible. And I also actually have x-rays, my before and after surgery, and I have some pictures of my foot right after surgery and then now. Actually, I think I might have a series, but if you're interested in those, I'm not posting them on this video because they're pretty gruesome. So put a put a comment down below and let me know if you'd like that, and I can send you a link to see that if that will, help you help you feel better about what's going to happen. Because I would not have had this done if I would have known ahead of time the process that was so lengthy and arduous. But I'm really glad I had it done. I'm glad I didn't know, and I'm glad I had it done. And I might have to have it done on my other foot, and it won't be for a long time, but I would definitely do it again. Absolutely. So just remember that it takes a lot of energy for your body to heal, but you've got this. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching. I really hope that this helps you. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, feel free to share it with anybody too who might be going through the same thing.